Hi again. Liverpool has a very rich tradition in the martial arts, and the oldest martial art was Ju-jutsu. It was established in Liverpool way back in the 1920s, and there were two main instructors who were the primary sources for this. Firstly, Jack Britton, who founded the Alpha Jiu-Jitsu Club, which became based in Shield Road. Now, I once met Jack Britton. I was doing judo. I'd read a couple of books on karate, and I wanted to find somewhere to train. And people told you of places, and they all always turned out to be something else. And someone directed me to Shield Road. I knocked on the door. It was a big house, and this quite elderly gent with a flat cap on opened the door, invited me in. His dojo was his front room, and he told me a little bit about his background, etc. But it was jiu-jitsu, and I was actually looking for karate. The other main source was Jerry Skyner, who had a dojo for many, many years in Catherine Street near Toxteth. And it was really the plethora of clubs and associations that have existed since largely are due to people who trained with these original pioneers. So, as I said, it's a very rich scene. And I've always, the people I've encountered in Jiu-Jitsu, and when I first started at the Red Triangle doing karate, there were several guys who trained with either Jack Britton or Jerry Skyner directly, and I chatted to them. I'd never done Jiu-Jitsu, and I never have since. And from what they told me, it was a very no-nonsense system. One of the guys who trained at Skyner said they used to practice breakfalls on wooden floors because, as they pointed out, you are probably going to be fighting on a hard floor and not really on a mat. We don't live in Japan. So they learned how to do breakfalls on hard floors. And I always thought that was very practical. So Liverpool, very rich sporting history, etc. And that's all translated into the type of people who have promoted Jiu-Jitsu. And it's a down-to-earth, quite practical system, but in the main. So I want to introduce you to Sue King, who I'm interviewing in this segment. And Sue, as you will hear, has many years, decades experience in not only Jiu-Jitsu, but numerous other martial arts. And I'm going to let her tell her story, but just to kind of give you a flavour, I remember she was training for, I think, a grading. It was either a grading or some sort of technical conference. And when we turned up to train at the normal Gutterfighters class on the Wednesday, she was already training with her training partner, Sean. And she said, would it be all right if they moved up onto the stage, drew the shutters across and continued training while we trained? And of course it's her dojo anyway, and they did it. And for the hour and a half they were continually going through throws, heavy bang throws, and when we left they were still doing it. So everything Sue has accomplished in her career has been done through hard work. And I'm very, very glad to have the chance to interview and find out more about her life in the martial arts. So, without more ado, this is part 1. Hey, at last. We've been trying to get together for quite a while. Months.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Our schedules never really matched until now. So I'm here with Sue King, in her headquarters in the office of the Mushinkai, and we're going to have a chat. So, where did you first hear about martial arts? Or how did you first hear about martial arts?
I first heard about martial arts when I think I was about 15 and my friends were going to a self-defence class, which was in Norris Green, and it's the old sports centre. Obviously there's a new one there now, and they were going along and they were like, do you want to come? And then obviously I had to check with my dad, and then eventually just went along, and apparently I was learning Jiu-Jitsu. Just billed as a self-defence class at the time.
And was it a branch of Lowlands?
It turns out it was. So it was Kenny Blundell who was teaching. And he was doing night courses, during the half terms and that sort of thing. And it was Kenny who was teaching as well.
Of course, Liverpool's got a long history of Jiu-Jitsu, hasn't it? I mean, we both read Simon Keegan's book, and it's really fascinating. And a lot of the guys who went into other forms of martial arts all started in some form of Jiu-Jitsu, going back a long time, with Skyner and Jack Britton, people like that, So Lowlands always comes up. It was a full-time place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? It was a lovely dojo. I always liked. It sounds cliche, but when you walk into a dojo and you get the smell, and it just looks really authentic. You got the tatami on the floor, and I always giggled because you go in and there's a piece of carpet. I mean, it's obviously very different now. Then there's the first tatami, then there's the second tatami at the back, and then there's a couple of side rooms. So when you'd go in, you'd be on the carpet as a beginner, and you'd be like, oh, I want to see what's around them other rooms and that. So it was always like a challenge to kind of move forward, because you wanted to be on that mat, because that was different, or on that mat because that was different again. But such a lovely building, and the dojo's still going strong, I believe.
Yeah, it's for people not from Liverpool, it's a big detached house in West Derby, and it's almost opposite where the Beatles started, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, which was another big property. But Lowlands is legendary for years, as a martial arts centre.
Everyone talks about the back room. So the old back room was like a wooden room, that's tatami again, but it was really eerie. When you're buying in a back room, you knew you were getting a really tough session.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was really good.
So you ended up there at Lowlands itself?
Yeah, I stayed at Lowlands for many years. Kenny was my main instructor. There was a couple of other lads like Alan Lynch, Peter Smith, John Hines, Alan Pierpoint. They would all teach as well. But Kenny was always the head. He was the main instructor.
Yeah. My only contact with them really, they also went to Barlow's Lane, didn't they?
Yes, before the split.
Yeah, and they had a shooting club.
Yeah.
There, and we used to shoot there now and again.
Yeah.
And I met most of the guys and got to know them, but not through the martial arts, funny enough.
Yeah.
So you got your black belts at Lowlands?
Yeah, so it was September 1990, and it was when the World Ju-jutsu and the British Ju-jutsu together before the fallout, and it was at Barlow's Lane. Really nice day, and the mat was heaving, honest to God. Then it was just chocker. Absolutely chocker. And then because you had the kids in, then they went, then you had the cadets, they went, then the adults. It was a full-on day.
Yeah, it's always stressful anyway, grading, isn't it?
Well, I turned up at I should have turned up at 2:30 apparently, but I turned up at 9:30. So Robert Clark was dead good to me. He was in and he was just like, are you come for a grading? Yes, sensei. Where you from? Lowlands Jiu-Jitsu. Really early. Just go upstairs and chill out, but obviously you're seeing people coming in and buzzing from the gradings and stuff.
So they didn't keep you in Caesar from 9 o'clock?
Thank God, no. I went upstairs and managed to sit in a room nice and chilled until everyone started to arrive, and obviously me training partners and stuff came as well.
What were you working at the time?
Oh God, 1990, I would have been doing sales, and it had probably been M&M Sports in Old Swan, I think.
Because for a long time you were at Taskers, weren't you?
Yeah, I started at Taskers.
Again, for it was a very, very big sports shop which kind of specialised in martial arts equipment.
It's changed a lot now. It's very specialist in its day. And when I started at Taskers, you had to have a speciality in something. And obviously my background was predominantly martial arts at the time. There was other fields as well. And the department just grew and grew because we added more to it. But it's changed a lot now. I think it's more mainstream, which is a shame, because it was very specialist, and you can't get that anywhere now, certainly.
I went in there a couple of times. It was quite near to where our dojo was, for some sports kit. I can't remember what it was, some bit of physical training kit. But I know a lot of guys in the martial arts remember you from Taskers.
Yeah.
So it must have been great for networking.
It
with
was.
all the different systems.
It was fantastic. I was always known as Little Sue from Taskers. And it was just nice to meet, I have to be honest, meet and chat to so many people.
Yeah.
Obviously you've still got to do your sales and that as well, but it was good, and for networking it was fantastic there.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And as you say, that's how most people remember me.
And you did some security work at some time, didn't you?
Yeah, so I've done quite a bit, sort of on and off. So the first one we did, can't remember the year, it was, I'm going to say late 80s, possibly early 90s, and it was a friend that I knew who, through Taskers, he did ninjutsu, his name was John, and he used to come in and talk to me, and he goes, I do this bikers gig every year, do you fancy coming along? I was like, yeah, alright. He said, it's outdoor event, he said, just bring a tent, just pitch, you'll be fine. So I'm like, right, okay. So obviously, you know, I'm a typical Scouser. I'm in my trackie to go to this event, and there's just must have been like 5,000 bikers all in clad leather and jeans, and it was like Spot the Scouser. It's like, where's Wally? This so, and that's how I first got onto it. We did a 3-day event, that was an experience, a really good experience, to be fair then. And then I ended up doing other little jobs. Worked the security, worked the doors for 15 years. Did some CP work in between that, and then ended up at the Lord Derby estate for a while doing security there, which was really nice. And then circumstances changed, and then obviously the dojo came available. Yeah. And I put my heart and soul into this, to be fair.
So in your jiu-jitsu, you started training with Eric Marshall, who's quite a well-known instructor, a renowned instructor in the area. How different was what he taught from what you'd done previously?
It was very different. I think every instructor has their own sort of flavour. They're all slightly different. So I'd been at Lowlands till I think it was 92, and then I'd met one of Eric's students. He'd come to the sports shop where I worked at the time, which was M&M, and he said, oh, you know, I go on. I said, I've took a break, took a bit of a step back, just kind of like not doing jiu-jitsu at the minute. And he was like, really? Yeah. You want to come and see Eric? You want to come and see Sensei Marshall? And there was always a bravado between the clubs. Kind of like, it was a fun bravado. There was never anything malicious. So it was kind of like going with, sidestepping and going with someone else. So I went up to see Sensei Marshall. I was just like, look, he knew of me, and ex-Lowland students can come and train. I really liked what he did. He's very realistic, judo background as well. I just like the teaching style and what he did, and how that changed the dynamic. I've been really fortunate enough to share the tatami with Eric a few times, like last year. And you know, I'm hoping hopefully to still continue to share the tatami with him. It's great. It's kind of like, he brought a lot to the table for me. It really made me look at me jiu-jitsu, how to evolve it, how to change it, and how to make it my own. And
then it evolved into your own style, yeah?
It did. Muga Mushin Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, which is no self, no mind. And there's a strong Zen aspect in there as well. To be fully present on the moment. Be fully present in the moment. So for this hour, I am on the mat, I'm doing Jiu-Jitsu, everything else is put to one side. And we try to keep that ethos throughout the gym, doing all the classes, to be fair.
It's a good concept. It's a good concept. I've just recently read a book about attributes, and that came up very, very heavily, that idea of being focused on the moment. You know.
It's so easy to get distracted.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll come in, but it's like when we do, a lot of people talk about it, not so much, I'm going to use the word ritual, but you know, we put on our gi, we relax, we start to come calm, we tie our belt, right, okay, we're going to go into the dojo, we bow, and then it's a different place, it's a different headspace, and it's a different mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really important in martial arts, and sometimes it's not talked about. We're all too busy talking about techniques or kata or something. Mindset plays such a big place.
Yeah, and I say the ritual or ceremonial aspect. I remember talking to Nick Hughes, who, you know, he did Goju back in Australia, and I was talking about gradings, and I said, well, really, you don't need a grading exam. I said, an instructor knows what grade you are and can just say, you're now this or you're now this. And he said, you're missing the point. He said, it makes it more significant. He said, when you have to go through the ritual and the testing for it. And he said, that's all part of it. That's what traditional martial arts are. And yeah, I do see the point.
But if you look at the certificates though, on most of our certificates, probably some of yours in the past, it always says on this day. And as you say, we know, kind of like you look at someone, I've got lads now who I go, do you know what, he should be fourth dan, he's good enough to hold the rank. But like he'll say to me, but I want to do mat grade, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. He's good enough to hold the grade now, but on the certificates, all it says is on this day that he performed. It doesn't talk about the years leading up to it, the years from third to fourth dan, the time and effort put in. I think that's forgotten a little bit.
So, predominantly up till this point, you've been doing grappling based Jiu-Jitsu, and then you went into Muay Thai.
Yeah. So in one of the dojos that I used to go to, it was predominantly Muay Thai, no-gi, BJJ at the time. I always thought I was really good at striking then, I'm not going to lie, I like to strike. It's always been my forte. And then when we shared this dojo, we had our Japanese Jiu-Jitsu one side and then there was a Thai class the other. So I said to the lads who shared the dojo with at the time, I was like, do you know what, I quite fancy trying that, can I have a go? And he said, yeah, no problem. Within the first 10 minutes I was out my depth. I really, really was done, and it made me look at, right, I think I'm good at what I want to do, but I've become complacent, maybe a little bit egotistical, to be perfectly honest. I need to enhance my skill, so I need to go back to Shoshin, beginner's mindset, look at it, right, I need to learn, and then that kind of like really triggered things for me, because I think we can get to a certain grade and we become very complacent, but we must remain to be not seen, but we must be able to be open to other things to enhance, more importantly, our own style and our way of moving forward. So that was a big change for me, to be fair then. And that was restart, and I did Thai there for, I think it was about 9 years.
Great. Did you compete in Thai?
No, because most of my time was at Tasker Sports, then it was dart in a taxi, go to teach, finish, come home. Weekends, I'll be honest, I was working, so I never competed in Thai. Competed in Jiu-Jitsu, but I didn't compete in Thai. Okay.
Then another art comes along, or another martial art, eskrima.
Right, in Taskers, where I just kind of like met everyone. This guy come in, Filipino guy, his name was Mike Sanchez. And he come in and was talking to me, and he's like, oh, I'm a Filipino guy, sticks, this, that and the other. What do you do? Jiu-Jitsu? He says, oh, I do Jiu-Jitsu, I've got my own style, Bushiru. All right, okay. And we just chatting, he said, do you know anywhere where I could have a bit of space just to do solo practice? So I was like, I'll share space with you. I'll share the space to hire. And we become really, really good friends. Then he started to teach us Eskrima. Got to Guru, which is third dan in Eskrima, where we spent some time most days training in the back garden and stuff like that. Unfortunately now I can't even hold anything, I'm too arthritic. So unfortunately them days of holding sticks and boppings and doing weapon work kabudo, unfortunately. Did you
do the other weapons, the knife
We did.
Filipino
We
knife
did
work.
stick and knife.
Yeah.
I think the biggest realisation for me, because of me doing Kabuto and that as well, when I'm using the stick, sometimes I really struggled until he told me to think of it as a bladed weapon like a machete. Then I could get my head around it more. It was better. But really nice. Watching him do it, watching him practice is just beautiful. Even as something simple like Sinawali was just mesmerising.
Yeah, it's great. I still, I mean, we still do some stick work most sessions because it's very, very good for coordination both sides of the brain.
Yes.
You know, the corpus callosum, which connects your brain. If you do, it's called contralateral movement. You're doing different things with each hand.
Yeah.
And probably with the legs as well.
Yeah, switching the legs with the movement.
It's very good for your brain.
Yeah.
And also the speed. You know, the end of that stick is moving so fast.
Yeah.
It's a good speed.
And he used to get a beautiful little whip on the end, and it was just so nice.
I really like the Filipino martial arts.